Okay, picture this. Imagine a ridiculously simple, kind of clunky website started by just 3 people that somehow transforms into a platform used by literal billions of people all over the planet. In this explainer, we're going to completely unpack the story of YouTube. Because, back in 2005, the idea that a website hosting these grainy 20-second clips could actually rival traditional television networks, that was completely unimaginative. Nobody, and I mean nobody, thought internet video was the future of global entertainment. But today, well, if you want to be entertained, learn a new skill, or catch up on the news, there is a very, very good chance you're opening this exact platform. So we're going back to the very beginning to uncover exactly how a basic video sharing site evolved into one of the most powerful media forces on Earth. Now, what's really fascinating here is how we went from a basic, unedited zoo video to this massive billion-dollar ecosystem. And that really begs the big question. If you were to start a channel today, from scratch, how much money could you actually make? We're going to explore not just the history, but the reality of the modern creator economy. By the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to understand exactly how to read your analytics, grow a new channel way faster, and avoid those classic traps that trip up almost every new creator. So, how exactly did YouTube go from a literal zoo to a digital empire? To really answer that, we've got to rewind the clock back to 2005. It all kicked off with a domain registration and a wildly simple video called Me at the Zoo. We're talking about one of the founders just standing there talking about elephants at the San Diego Zoo in glorious, unbelievably grainy 240p resolution. It absolutely was not a cinematic masterpiece, but, that was the whole point. 3 former PayPal employees, Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jad Karim, stepped in with one incredibly simple idea: make it ridiculously easy for absolutely anyone to upload and share video online. Because back then, hosting big video files was crazy expensive, and emailing them to friends was just a nightmare. Well, their little solution turned out to be a multi-billion-dollar revolution. Fast forward just 1 year to 2006, and Google realized this user-generated model was the future of the internet, so they scooped up YouTube for a staggering $1.65 billion in stock. Then, by 2007, YouTube launched the Partner Program, and that right there planted the seeds for the massive creator economy we're living in today. As the platform just completely exploded in popularity, they hit a really critical milestone: monetization. Basically, YouTube realized they had to separate the legitimate, hardworking creators from the spammers. They desperately needed a system to make sure advertiser money was actually going to dedicated people who are building real audiences and, actually following the rules. Enter the 1,000 subscriber rule. In 2018, YouTube established this strict threshold just to get a slice of that ad revenue. And this number wasn't just pulled out of thin air. Following some pretty turbulent times on the platform, what the community usually calls the adpocalypse, advertisers were getting super nervous about where their brand names were popping up. So this 1,000 subscriber mark acted as a much-needed filter. It was designed to ensure that only established channels, the ones building a real core fan base rather than just getting lucky with a one-off viral hit, were actually getting monetized. But getting subscribers? That was only half the equation. You also had to pair that sub count with 4,000 valid public watch hours in the previous 12 months. Now, let's put that into perspective for a second. 4,000 hours is 240,000 minutes of human attention. That is a massive hurdle. It wasn't enough to just annoy your friends and family until they click the subscribe button. You had to mathematically prove that viewers were actually sitting down and watching your stuff consistently over a whole year. It was their way of ensuring only truly committed creators got paid. But hey, good news if you're starting out now. Recently, YouTube actually lowered that initial entry level to just 500 subscribers. Now, this doesn't get your full ad revenue right away, but it does unlock fan funding and shopping features. And honestly, this is a total game changer. It means you can start monetizing your community way earlier through features like Super Chat and channel memberships, even while you're still grinding your way up to those higher ad revenue milestones. So with all these milestones, how do creators actually earn their living? There is a huge misconception out there that hitting these sub counts means YouTube just instantly starts paying you a neat little salary. The reality is a whole lot more complex than that. Subscribers alone absolutely do not pay the bills. Actual income is generated through a mix of on-platform features and off-platform deals. The modern creator is basically running a highly diversified business. Sure, you've got your traditional advertising revenue and YouTube premium payouts, but off the platform, that's where things can scale massively. Brand sponsorships, selling your own merch, and affiliate marketing can completely transform a channel's earning potential. In fact, just one really well-placed affiliate link or a dedicated brand deal can sometimes pay you way more than an entire month of standard ad revenue. It really all comes down to building a loyal audience that actually trusts your recommendations. Now, to truly understand the on-platform money, we have to talk about RPM. This measures your actual cut of the revenue for every single 1,000 views you generate. RPM stands for revenue per mil, and it is the absolute definitive metric for understanding your earnings. Think of RPM like your take-home pay after taxes and fees. It represents the actual dollars landing in your bank account per 1,000 views after YouTube takes its 45% share and after accounting for any views that simply weren't monetized. Let's break down the math on this, just to make it concrete. If we apply a sample $4 RPM, hitting 1 million views might net you around $4,000. But listen, this number fluctuates wildly based on where your audience lives and your specific niche. For example, a business or personal finance channel is going to have an incredibly high payout compared to a general entertainment or gaming channel. Why? Well, because advertisers like banks, credit card companies, and software platforms are willing to pay top dollar to reach an audience that's actively interested in money. So there really is no universal formula where 1 million views automatically guarantees you a set stack of cash. All right, so knowing all this about how the money works, what's the actual playbook? If you started a brand new channel today, what is the growth formula to actually hit those earning milestones? Basically, there are 3 foundational steps you need to execute perfectly. Step 1, choose a clear niche. Please don't make your channel about everything under the sun. Viewers need to instantly know exactly what they're getting if they hit subscribe. Step 2, find the viewer's curiosity. Don't just ask yourself what video you want to make. Ask what your audience desperately wants to know. What are they actually typing into that search bar? And step 3, master titles and thumbnails. You need one hyper-strong visual idea that makes your message immediately clear. Let's look at the contrast here, because this is crucial. On one side, we have history of Apple. It's basic. Honestly, it feels a bit like homework, right? And nobody willingly clicks on homework. Now look at the other side, how Apple went from a garage project to a $1 trillion empire. The underlying subject is literally exactly the same, but the packaging promises this incredible high-stakes story. That specific framing is what actually earns the click. You can't just pick a topic. You have to package it to create intense, undeniable curiosity. But hey, mastering your titles is just the starting line. To truly grow, you have to master your analytics. Because views, they're just the end result of a much deeper process going on behind the scenes. Let's start with impressions. This is simply how many times someone actually saw your thumbnail on their screen. Think of impressions like foot traffic, walking past a physical store on a busy street. If nobody is walking by, you've essentially opened your shop in the wrong neighborhood. If your impressions are tiny, it means the platform has no idea who your video is for, which usually means you either haven't matched your content to the right audience yet, or you need to drastically rethink your topic selection. Next up is CTR, or click-through rate. If impressions are the foot traffic, your click-through rate is how many of those people actually step inside your store because they liked your window display. It directly tells you if your thumbnail and title are doing their job. If you have tons of impressions but your CTR is near 0, your packaging completely failed to grab their attention. Just remember, don't obsess over finding one single perfect number, because a good click-through rate varies wildly depending on how broad or niche your topic is. And then we have audience retention, which is quite literally a graph of human attention. To finish off our store analogy, retention is whether they actually buy what you're selling or if they take one look around and walk right back out the door. Honestly, this is the absolute most valuable feedback you will ever get. If everyone leaves in the first 30 seconds, your opening was way too slow and you didn't deliver on the promise of your title. If they dip out in the middle, you probably dragged out a point way too long. You've got to actively use this data to tighten up your pacing. For anyone jumping in right now, long-term success really boils down to a few key mindsets. You have to treat every single video as a learning opportunity, rather than expecting some instant viral fame. First off, do not judge your entire channel's potential based on your first 5 or 10 uploads. Growth is almost never a straight line here. Second, study how successful creators tell stories, but don't just copy their personality. Third, consistency means improving slightly over time, not just uploading garbage every single day just to hit a quota. And finally, when a video bombs, open your analytics and learn from it instead of instantly blaming the algorithm. The algorithm just follows the audience. If the audience wasn't interested, the algorithm won't push it. It's not simple. Look, today, you don't need a massive Hollywood studio or millions of dollars in backing. You literally just need a phone, an internet connection, and a deep, deep commitment to making your next video slightly better than your last. As this sums up so perfectly. The biggest secret to YouTube success isn't simply going viral. It's understanding your audience. It's about delivering genuine value, entertainment, or education to real people, time and time again. Every single massive channel you watch today once sat at exactly 0 subscribers, with no audience, and no viral hits to their name. And that is the ultimate beauty of this platform. The most successful creators started with exactly what you have right in front of you right now: 0 subscribers and an idea. So the only question left to ask yourself is, what is the story you want to tell?